So Andrew Yang, anyway, he tweeted this out. He says, and then we'll watch the video. He says, if we stay falsely divided by the media into two camps, we clash and nothing gets done. But if a new dynamic emerges, real change is possible. And here, as you can tell, based on this chart,
I can't believe he.
What does this even mean?
that
is so insane.
That progress is possible with three parties. It makes a triangle, which I guess is pointing forward.
You know what I feel like? I feel like back in the day, on YouTube there was like the rap craze. Like everybody was trying to be a rapper, and then it turned into like the boxing fad. You know what I mean? And they didn't like genuinely care about boxing or rapping. They just like knew that it was popping, so they wanted to get in on the wave, right? They wanted to ride it. And now I feel like political campaigns are that exact same thing. If you want to be a fucking MSNBC commentator or something, if you want to be an analyst, if you want to sell a couple books and make some money, you have to be out there in the media, acting like you are going to run for office, right? And if you don't have a real platform, which none of these people do, obviously, I mean, the Democratic Party barely has one, what you have to do is just get owned all the time. Because if you get owned all the time, then you're in the media all the time. People are going to constantly talk about you. And I think that is what Andrew Yang's strategy is.
Well, he already works for CNN, doesn't he?
Yeah, like that's what I mean. He's not honestly and earnestly trying to become a politician. He's not trying to make any sort of meaningful change. He's just trying to go back on the Joe Rogan experience.
I don't know. I met him, and I really actually believed he was genuine and serious.
Bro, you got Big Papa John, now Andrew Yang.
Papa.
You have a lot of motherfuckers on speed dial where I'm like, damn.
Well, Papa's a good guy. Okay, I'm not going to accept any disparagement here. But anyway, this is when I realized that Andrew kind of is just a big fucking grifter. I mean, this shit is just unforgivable. Watch this shit.
Come up with policy
really
positions.
Negative results.
Right,
we
but
just
Andrew,
need a better system.
Yeah, but Andrew, you're going to have policy positions at some point. How does the Forward Party feel about Roe versus Wade? Should it have been overturned?
Easy one, right?
Well, I personally think that women's reproductive rights are fundamental human rights. But the Forward Party has not left or right, but forward stance on even the most divisive and contentious
Why didn't you just say
and?
Like, I think is a fundamental right for women, okay? And the Forward Party believes in protecting that fundamental right. He can't even say that. He's like, but the Forward Party takes a forward stance on it. What the fuck does that mean?
He really thinks that he's appealing to conservatives by saying that? I mean, bro, what are you doing? You so pathetic. But here, I mean, he gets eviscerated.
On even the most divisive and contentious issues.
Well, what does that mean? Don't you have to take a position on something? Don't you have to take a position on something? You can't just say, well, this is a hot button issue, so I'm not going to take a position on you. You know, if you want to run the country, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, Andrew.
Again, the Forward Party is about that common sense consensus majority view, which is very clear on abortion. It's clear.
What about guns? What about assault weapons?
On climate change. It's actually clear on just about every issue under the sun.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy?
So why are you the Forward Party then? Like, then you're just what, the Progressive Party?
Because most progressive policies have overwhelming popular majority. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, ironically, you said Democrats because, yes, he is a Democrat.
He's just a Democrat.
Being the centrist position on all of these issues is what the Democratic Party does. They are so desperately center-seeking all the time as the Republican Party goes further and further right. So why did this guy just make, like, the second Democratic Party?
It is. That's all it is.
There's no reason for that.
But he thinks he's clever because he doesn't have to endorse any specific thing. He just goes, hey, whatever the people want, I'm down.
Yeah, okay. Like, great question I would have asked him in this situation is like, okay, what about civil rights? That was not only contentious, but also the broad consensus majority opinion on civil rights was that segregation should continue and it should be left up to the states. Yeah, what do you think about that?
That's a perfect one. I believe that black Americans should have the right to vote, but the Forward Party believes in the common sense consensus, which is to
execute Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
that was because that was it. That was like he had 67% of the country in the aftermath thought that Martin Luther King was a bad guy, that the civil rights movement was bad, that there should have been no legislation.
Yeah, he doesn't want the KKK guy from Gideon's vid to feel left out of the process.
Yeah. Well, those guys are well represented in politics anyway. You know what I mean? It's just the Republican Party.
That's very true.
So
anyway, here's Yang changing the world. This forward party's happening. Oh, we love it.
AR-15s
because of the nature of our system.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Again, the common sense consensus majority is that there should be some rules
Dude,
around.
you're such a fucking pussy. You're such a loser in this moment, dude.
I'm telling you, Tulsi Gabbard did this shit too. It's like, I mean, she just went straight right wing, but these guys are trying to reorient themselves because American politics mostly revolves around aesthetics. And for that reason, you can very easily put on a new skin and decide, like, I've reinvented myself. I'm now, on the Tucker Carlson broadcast. Like, you can make that change. Tim Pool can so easily be like a right-wing grifter while simultaneously claiming that he's like liberal or progressive or whatever, because ultimately, a lot of people don't care. A lot of people feel jaded. They feel like their politicians don't represent their interests anyway, and that everyone's fake. And this is the side that does care. People that watch CNN, people that watch even Leftovers, people that watch MSNBC, people that watch Fox News, like, they kind of care. And when they kind of care, they only focus on the aesthetics of the process anyway. And if you can get away with, launching a political campaign without any established policy positions on contentious issues, which is what politics is about, you're going to do it. And that's it. He's just furthering the song and dance, the facade, the spectacle.
It's sad, man. I really liked him,
Around background checks and access to firearms. But we're not getting any of these things, Jim, because the two-party system does not need to deliver.
But it doesn't sound like you're taking any hard position. It sounds like you're
trade power.
It sounds like you're sort of a fill-in-the-blank party. If somebody wants a party with no clear policy positions, you're it. But unfortunately, in the real world, you have to take a position on something.
Well, we're for the common sense consensus.
Shut the fuck up, bro. He's like a robot at this point. We're for the common. Do you believe that prisoners should be executed for the crime of theft? Well, we are common sense.
Your leader also, like, I think it's part of your moral duty is to, like, part of what you're supposed to do as a leader is to communicate to the public what the appropriate position is on particular issues. You need to take a stand on something, even if it's unpopular at times, and advocate for it, push for it regardless. It's part of the reason why people love Bernie Sanders is that for almost a century, this motherfucker's been on the right side of issues, and has been incredibly consistent and is very genuine, and that actually translates to that results in his incredibly high, the highest approval rating in Congress historically, and consistently.
He's a rare one. He's a real one. But honestly, just look. I mean, you can't really doubt Andrew when you look at this graph. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like nerd shit.
No.
But the people that are really interested. The people that are interested in politics and only get their information from mainstream media are into nerd shit. So they probably find this to be like unique. Oh, how refreshing that someone is above being a partisan on issues. Thanks.
I think it is refreshing that he's finally pushing some of the most, daring, against the grain political theories out there, like the time cube guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would vote for this guy.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I would
Dr.
not vote
Gene
for
Ray.
Well, what do you say to this, Hassan? To the folks on the left who are upset about the Forward Party, what you should be upset about is a corrupt duopoly that manipulates you and inflames you while serving virtually none of your actual desired policy goals. You have no policy goals.
You will never get what you want in the system. Feel free to try. Okay, so here's yet another person who has correctly identified that the American duopoly is unjust and is created a system where you have yet another fallacy of choice, where you have a false choice that you feel will actually, end up changing your life in a positive or negative way. But ultimately, there is always going to be bipartisan consensus when it comes to white nativist immigration policies, when it comes to deregulation, when it comes to offering the fattest checks to the oil and gas companies. Even with the IRA, we saw that. No matter what happens, and if you truly wanted to be outside of that spectacle, if you truly had that, you would have a leftist position that is grounded within materialism, that advocates to organize workers, that advocates for a mechanism of feedback, that truly puts power back in the hands of the people. But you're not doing that, because if you did that, then you wouldn't get the sweet CNN jobs. You wouldn't get this MSNBC talking head position that you're vying for. You wouldn't even maybe get the internet clout that you're looking for when you post off like that, which is the reason why he's doing this instead. You're not outside of the system. You're complaining about the system itself, and yet you are still participating in that system in the most hilarious way, because you've adopted the Democratic Party's positioning, or the Democratic Party's like messaging on constantly trying to be a centrist, constantly trying to be a moderate, while simultaneously not even campaigning on issues, which the Democratic Party, at least to a certain degree, does. Like, there are wedge issues. Those are the most important things that differentiate a Democrat from a Republican, and cause this partisan divide to continue running with this fake duopoly. And he's not even doing that. He's just saying like, oh, we're just going to be centrist, but like actually centrist. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't matter. We're just going to be in the center.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's so sad. Rip Andrew. I remember seeing a really good tweet of his, but it's hard to find. This man is a monster tweeter.
Like Barack Obama did this. He did this. He hired like the entire Goldman Sachs executive team. You know what I mean, for the White House, and look how that turned out in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, and the recovery.
Well, rest in peace, Andrew. It was good while it lasted. We had a good run together. But on to...